And this is a live look inside of Mission Control Center in Houston, the ISS Flight Control Room, as they continue to monitor the egress or exit of the Quest airlock and crew lock of the International Space Station for these two astronauts.
Nick, Sunny, we're back with you after the handover. I think Nick's working large ORU bag on his BRT, and Sunny, you're going to get crew lock bag number 1 for yourself.
Yeah, just to bring you up to speed, I've got the large ORU bag on my BRT. Sunny has the crew lock bag red on her BRT red, and she just put on a BRT, so yep, kind of outside and cleaned up.
I got to get my BRT on the other side. Paddles ended. It is on. Crew lock bag on my left side.
All right, I copied that update,
I got
Nick.
all 3 tabs up on you.
And Nick, if you got a second before you close the thermal cover there, we're looking for a visual inspection of the thermal cover for any water discoloration or residue as well.
Yeah, and I didn't see anything. You see anything on your side,
I don't
Sonny?
see anything on my side.
Yeah, and even on the surface where the thermal cover adheres to on the bottom of the airlock, I don't see anything.
Me neither.
Okay, copy. We're go to continue. You can close the thermal cover when you're ready, and then both of you can take your HECAs to on.
Okay.
I see your HEC is on.
Okay, and I see your green light. We'll just start with buddy check.
Yep.
So I see a green light. You got both your helmet lights are on. That's good. I saw 1, 2, 3 tabs are up. Your safety tethers are in a good config. You've got a waist tether down. The safety tether comes in front of your BRT, so when you push that behind, it's in a good spot.
Yep.
The rest of your tools, like they're in a good spot.
Hey, I see your HECA on. I see 1, 2, 3 tabs up. I see your safety handles are on, which is good.
Yep.
I see your tethers, the tether on your right-hand side, and you are on your mini workstation end effector, and I see you are BRT to your large ORU bag as well as tethered.
And can you rotate a little bit? And ISO valve is down, so both your safer handles are down as well.
Yep.
My HAP is no change. It is dry.
My HAP is no change and dry.
All right, that's good checks, both crew. We can start our translation now. So, Nick, you're going to lead and head out to the S0 port wedge face. Let me know if you want some mile markers along the way. And then, Sunny, you're going to follow to the starboard CETA cart.
Yep, and I'm going to give Nick a little bit of chance to get over to the port side before we start up.
There you heard great communication between NASA astronauts Nick Hague and Sunny Williams as they have exited the Quest airlock and did buddy checks to make sure everything was A-OK before beginning their motions to move across the International Space Station and begin their first planned task of the day, the remove and replace of the Rate Gyro Assembly Unit number 2 that helps provide orientation data on the International Space Station. From this field of view, Nick Hague, you can see lightly those red stripes on the top of his backpack. He will be in the now top left part of the screen, and Sunny Williams right behind him. She is in the unmarked spacesuit for today's EVA. And while they make their way across, flight controllers have given the command to power down the Rate Gyro Assembly number 2. As both Nick Hague and Sunny Williams make their way over to that portion of the International Space Station truss system. And again, that rate gyro to remove and replace provides orientation data on all 3 axes of the International Space Station. That is today's priority task of U.S. Spacewalk number 91.
6, went up to phase 1.
Copy, Nick. As you go over the top, I have a couple cautions specific to you. Remember, you want to avoid contact with the GPS antennas and then avoid loading the NZGL cable and connectors headers on that hab tray on the back side of the truck.
Okay. Understand all.
And Nick, I see you heading forward. I'm going to start heading up.
I think that's enough that my space tether will stay out of your way now.
Yep. I see it anyway. I will watch it.
We are approaching 19 minutes into today's EVA activities as NASA astronauts Nick Hague and Sunny Williams continue to communicate as they make their way over to the first task of the EVA, which is to remove and replace the rate gyro assembly unit number 2 that has been given the command to be powered down in anticipation of this remove and replace. And this is all part of the ISS assembly maintenance and upgrades for today's planned 4 tasks. This is the first of those 4. That is astronaut Nick Hague in the red stripes moving into position. That's Sunny Williams closely following behind as the International Space Station currently in an orbital nighttime.
I'm crossing over each other. I see it here in front of me. Okay.
And there's a great look at Expedition 72 Commander Sunny Williams with Nick Hague just above her on the truss of the International Space Station, translating across that truss to begin work on the rate gyro assembly unit number 2 replacement.
I'm over on the seat of cart, Jeff.
A-firm. Sunny, you're going to head out to the starboard seat of cart, and once you're there, you can stow crew lock bag 1 on any of the seat of cart square grids. We're going to have you do an APFR task.
Okay. Look.
Hey, Jeff, I'm at 3519 for the location.
Awesome. Yep, you're going to stow one end of your mini workstation RET on that handrail for the failed RGA, and then you can continue moving down. You want to avoid contact with that S0 aft face radiator as well.
Okay. And I see the shiny surface. Got a good hook down on 3519 with one end of the RET. Their end is free.
Cappy, Nick, your next step here is going to be to open the RGA-2 thermal shroud. As you move down, you're going to be peeling that port to starboard and then releasing the Velcro from under handrail 3520, which is that handrail where your work site is.
Yeah, good work.
Okay, getting the crew lock bag is connected. I'm just getting it off of me.
Cappy, Sunny, let me know when you're ready for words for the APFR relocate.
Okay, I'm ready for words.
Okay, you're going to relocate the APFR from the WIFX that's currently in WIF 1, and you're just moving the APFR only to WIF 4.
got a tether on it.
Copy.
So just the APFR with 4, which is the one on the top. Right. That's the one in the middle. Correct?
WIF 4 is going to be the one on the top it's actually going to be port side of the starboard pseudocart.
Yep. Port and hop up.
Yeah, A-firm. That's a good read back. And then you're looking for a clocking of 3, and then I have the other settings for you when you're ready.
Clocking of 3.
23 and a half minutes into today's EVA, you're seeing Sonny Williams adjusting the portable foot restraint systems in preparation for today's first task of U.S. EVA number 91, the removal and replacement of rate gyro assembly number 2. For Sonny Williams, this is EVA, her 8th spacewalk into the vacuum of space, nearly more than 18 years after her first. As for Nick Hague, this is his 4th, and he will be seen in red stripes on his suit, his first since August of 2019.
No.
Okay. Net handrail 3520. All eyes open. I see our RGA. I'm going to work on temp stowing our U bag.
Yeah, copy, Nick, that you're down there at 3520. You can attach the other end of that pre-staged RET to the failed RGA now and get that off your mini workstation.
All right, I got the collar to move, Jeff. Maybe I'm not getting it far enough.
Copy, Sonny. You're getting the collar to move, but just to understand, you're not able to pull the APFR out, like the paddles aren't depressing.
Yeah. I think I have to get to the black line to the yellow line. Wait. I'm not getting it over there. Just is not allowing the paddles to be depressed. Interesting.
Yeah, copy, Sonny.
Okay,
If the collar should be all the way black on white or black on yellow in this case.
Yeah.
And I copy, Nick, about the RET. You can temp stow the large ORU bag on that S0 wedge face now.
Can work.
I don't know if you could see it in my HECA, but that's as far as I can get the collar.
Yeah.
Not all the way to the white.
Copy, Sonny. Actually, it looks like we might have bumped the HECA there, so if you could turn that back on, we'll see what you're looking at.
Yep, sure. Yeah. You back with me?
You there?
We're back with you.
Sonny?
Okay.
This is NASA astronaut Sonny Williams configuring a portable foot restraint outside of the International Space Station in preparation for today's first task of U.S. Spacewalk number 91. We heard earlier on the comms that her partner in this EVA, Nick Hague, has reached the rate gyro assembly, which will be removed and replaced, and that provides orientation data on all 3 axes of the International Space Station.
Nick, are you ready for me over there?
Yeah, I'm still temp stowing the ORU bag, so you got time to troubleshoot.
Yeah, Sonny, we don't have a whole lot of good workarounds here, but the the feedback that I'm getting is just trying to get that collar rotated all the way. And like I see you going back and forth on the collar as well, trying to get it loosened up. And then just making sure with the WIFX also kind of moving with you a little bit, that we're staying as perpendicular to it as we can as we're pulling out.
Yeah, if I can get the paddles, I'll definitely do that. But I don't know if I can that collar all the way over to the right.
Yeah, we copy.
It's right to the edge.
This is a live view from astronaut Nick Hague's helmet camera as he looks onto the rate gyro assembly as he prepares for the removal and replacement of this unit. The priority task of today's EVA is his partner for today, and Sonny Williams continues to configure that portable foot restraint. And there you can see Williams just outside the truss system of the International Space Station continuing to work with that foot restraint.
Sonny, one last recommendation here. If you can try to rotate the collar to as far as you can get it with one hand and then squeeze the paddles with the other and just see if you get any motion in the paddles at all.
Yeah, I don't get any motion at all. So the collar's definitely not in the right place. I don't get the paddles to move at all.
And just TCV of 5.
Copy, Nick, TCV 5.
We had any problems with this one before?
So the locking collar won't even rotate on you?
Now 30 minutes into today's EVA activities as you are seeing
And there's no side loading?
Expedition 72 Commander and NASA astronaut Sonny Williams continuing to work on the portable foot restraint just outside the truss system of the International Space Station.
Yes, Sonny, we're thinking through it down here as well.
Williams in constant communication to troubleshoot with the team here on the ground with NASA astronaut and spaceflight communicator Jessica Whitner.
All right, Sonny, with that, it sounds like this APFR has given us trouble in the past, so you're kind of confirming something we may already know. That said, at this point, we're just going to leave it where it's at, and if you can just put it back in its original config, black on black, and then we'll get you inside the truss.
Black on black.
Copy.
And that is a live look in from the helmet camera of NASA astronaut Sonny Williams as she was just communicating with Jessica Whitner, the spacewalk communicator for today's EVA, on the portable foot restraint. As her and astronaut Nick Hague prepare for the removal and replacement of the rate gyro assembly number 2 on board the orbiting laboratory.
With the integral lid tether, and then we can get you working on the RGA.
Okay.
And Sonny, for you, we're going to have you ingress the S0 truss right there through phase 1 at bay 2 and to access those RGA bolts. And then I have a caution for you not to translate on the radiator heat pipes inside the truss, and then also avoid contact with the Z93 painted surfaces.
Okay, copy that. Coming in. All right, Nick, I'm on the other side, as you can probably see.
Yep.
Get myself in position.
See some light? In Houston, you'll probably see little flakes of Z93 off this basement unit. It's like it's liberating from that same spot that was missing some before. Edges are crumbling off.
Yeah, Nick, to confirm, that's on the new unit when you open the bag, correct?
The new unit's A-firm.
All right, Nick, I have my BRT down on 3507. My waist tether down on 3527.
Great.
Right here.
And just there's enough rigidity in the bag lid that it stays open without having to restrain it open.
Okay, copy, Nick, about the bag, and we're going to go ahead and proceed. So when you're ready, we can work to demate the connectors from RGA2, and Sunny, you can help as well if you can reach the nadir connector. But there's two connectors, nadir and aft, and we're going to disconnect both of them and just get good inspection on FOD, pins,
I can
EMI.
reach the nadir. My hand right on the nadir one when you guys are ready. Go ahead.
And we are ready for you to disconnect.
Over center.
Looks like good release. Over center.
This one goes towards me.
Towards you. Yep. A-firm. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Away from you. Oh, you were right. Towards you. I see it moving. It comes straight out. It looks like it's turning sideways a little. Try pulling back on the... No, you got it.
Okay, I see no FOD. That's an EMI band.
Good EMI band.
Let me get down and take a look underneath. Get my head in there. As far as I can tell. Oh, that looks good. No FOD. My band. All looks good on this field.
Good. And I'm going to move down. Okay. Just removing my electrical on that outside. That red's right in the way. And the good pins. EMI band. No FOD. Good connector.
Copy, those are good inspections. So, Nick, if you need to, you can release those TA clamps. If you don't, you just want to restrain the connectors clear of the work site.
And that's enough to do. Perfect. That's good. Great.
Okay, and once that's good, both of you can get out your PGTs, and we'll work to release these bolts.
Work. Right.
37 minutes into today's EVA with the great side-by-side view of NASA astronauts Nick Hague on the left and Sonny Williams on the right in their helmet cams as they work on today's top first task, the removal and replacement of the rate gyro assembly number 2, which helps calculate rotational rate data and the rate of change of the orientation of the International Space Station and helps better calculate that orientation. This rate gyro assembly number 2, originally installed back in September of 2009 as a part of STS-128 and Space Station Assembly Mission number 17.
Copy. For both of you, the RGA bolts can be released and installed simultaneously and in any order. Just prior to that last bolt, just make sure you guys are ready because the RGA will be free after release. When you're ready, you can
Copy. might be discussed, Sonny. Let's go ahead and let's do the first one, Simo. I'll make sure that get the boat. I'm in a good spot.
And for both of you, we're expecting 10 to 14 turns, and you can release bolts.
Okay.
And a great view there of the tools being used to release the current rate gyro assembly unit in preparation for the removal and replacement with the backup unit.
And guys, for order of ops here, we have Nick, you releasing both of your bolts on the aft side, and then Sonny holding on the last bolt to have Nick stow his PGT so he's ready to take the RGA.
Okay, four bolts is out.
Okay, I'm working on the lower one now.
12 turns.
Copy, Sonny, 12 turns on the nadir bolt.
Okay, 12 turns on the Zenith, 11 turns on the nadir aft bolts. So release.
Copy, 12 and 11. Nick, you can stow your PGT and then prep just to take the RGA out of its location once Sonny drives that last bolt.
Yep. Okay, Sonny.
I'm on the last one.
Yep, I gotta put this PGT away.
Ready for me to continue?
And bye.
And then, Nick, for you, I have a warning. There is a pinch point. You want to keep your fingers clear of the gap between the RGA handle and the truss during RGA removal and install.
I'm not done yet. Ready?
Yep, I'm ready for you to release.
Okay, 11 and 11. Sorry, 12 and
Sliding out. Okay.
And a great view there of the release of that rate gyro assembly number 2 from the view of and perspective of NASA astronaut Sonny Williams, who just released that last bolt. And it's currently in the hands of NASA astronaut Nick Hague just across her field of view. And the replacement unit, this RGA number 2, will help calculate the rotational rate data of the International Space Station. For Sonny Williams, she is currently inside the S0 truss of the International Space Station, which is quite near the midway point of the backbone of the structure of the orbiting laboratory.
Cap removed, good pins, no FOD.
Copy the inspection.
Cap removed, no FOD.
Copy, good inspection. And Sonny, if while you're waiting you want to set up your PGT for the install, the settings will be alpha 6 clockwise 2.
Hey, alpha 6 clockwise 2.
Now now 43 minutes into today's EVA, and the first planned task of the remove and replace of the rate gyro assembly. The assembly unit number 2 has been removed from its original position aboard the International Space Station on the S0 truss, essentially the midway point of the backbone of the orbiting laboratory. And you saw from the helmet cam of Nick Hague, the NASA astronaut, that he was beginning to uncover and bring out the replacement unit that will go in its place. And this is a view from Sunny Williams' helmet cam. She is inside the truss system and will await the arrival of that new unit. And there you can see Nick Hague just across her field of view as they now begin to move the new rate gyro assembly unit into place.
Sunny, we're going to drive the bolts to hard stop 9.5 to 13 turns. And Nick, for you, those settings were Alpha 6, clockwise 2.
The Alpha 6, clockwise 2.
Okay, lower 16 turns. Actual 8.8. 8.3. 16 turns, 8.3.
Copy, Sunny. We heard 8.3 and 12 turns. Can you confirm green light on the nadir bolt?
Light on the nadir bolt.
Copy. Thank you. That's good bolt.
And my nadir bolt is installed. Got 13 turns. Actual torque of 23.3. Green light.
Copy, Nick. Nadir bolt. And Nick, if we can have you verify, we want to verify that you're not in the Bravo setting still. It just seems like the torque is a little higher than we were expecting.
Yep, I was in Bravo.
Zenith bolt is 12.4 turns, 8.5 on the torque. Green light.
Copy, Sunny. That's a good bolt for the Zenith. You can stow your PGT and hold for a second.
Okay, working on the last bolt. So 6,
And Nick, if we can have you pause for a second, we might have you back out that lower bolt.
Okay. Got one turn on. Pausing.
That's fine, Nick. We'll just have you hold there. Copy you on your one turn.
Get in a position for this connector. I was wondering, because I was like, empty girl.
Kicked a lot harder than I was expecting.
Thinking about that APFR.
It starts easy and then just hangs up hard, or does it just kind of slowly build up?
stopped.
Yeah.
All right, Nick, I have some words for you. So we're going to go ahead and back off that nadir bolt 1 turn. So you're going to set Bravo 6 counterclockwise 2, and then just looking for 1 turn, and then we'll reset and drive to our stop.
Bravo 6, counterclockwise 2, 1 turn only.
Good read back.
Res. It's 1 turn.
Cappy, we're going to set now Alpha 6, clockwise 2, and then you can drive to hard stop.
Alpha 6, clockwise 2 is set.
Jeff, can I start working on the nadir electrical?
Yes, Sonny, we're just going to have you stand by until we get this bolt drove.
Okay, Jeff, I got good green light, 6.2 actual torque, and 1.03 turns. That's the wrong setting. It was on Alpha 4. Want me to hit it again to raise it to the 0.3?
Stand by, Nick. We're talking. And Nick, you can just switch up to Alpha 6 and then do it one more time for us.
Okay, Alpha 6 is set.
Just over 50 minutes in today's EVA task as we hear and see the work being done by NASA astronauts Nick Hague and Sonny Williams on attaching the replacement unit of the Rate Gyro Assembly Unit number 2 that measures the rate of angular motion of the International Space Station, making sure that the torque and all the proper settings are correct for this replacement unit.
Okay, Jeff, good green light, 8.2 on the actual torque, additional 11 turns.
Copy, Nick, and can you confirm green light?
Good green light.
Copy, that's a good vote. You can stow your PGT. And Sonny and Nick, we are go now for the NZGL connection. So again, just looking for a good inspection. And then Sonny, if you want to work nadir, that's P678 to J671.
Okay. Good inspection before.
Good inspection on my connector. Pins, no fog, good EMI band.
Copy, Nick, and you can connect the aft as well. That's P680 to J673.
Copy. Made it over center.
Copy.
Made it over center on the Vader one as well.
Not quite over center.
Copy, and to confirm, the TA clamps are still closed.
The clamps are closed. We're still working on the nadir. Got a
Push
little
that?
bit.
You can push it from your side?
Yeah, I'm going to reach in.
Your confirmation of good bolts to connect the new rate gyro assembly unit to its new position in the S0 thrust of the International Space Station. And now NASA astronauts Nick Hague, which that is his viewpoint that you are seeing on your screen now, alongside with his partner for today's US-91 EVA, are connecting or reconnecting the rate gyro assembly.
It's still got to go up, so if you can just push on the back shell up as hard as you can. Almost there.
Boy. What are those two sides look on that?
The sides?
Yeah. Is there any gap in between them?
There's no gap. It looks like the soft dock was aligned. We've got the back shell most of the way up. Just a smidge short of.
Over center.
Yeah. I'm going to get rid of this BRT. Closer.
Over center now?
There you go. That's it. That took no force once you got it there.
Yeah. I had to get upside down to do it.
Outstanding. So they're both made it over center, Jeff.
All right, awesome work. All right, with that, guys, the RGA install is complete, so we're moving over to cleanup now. Sunny, you can egress the truss and check your safer handles down, and then you're going to go retrieve your crew lock bag from the starboard seat cart.
Work.
Nick, for you, we're going to relocate the bag ret from the spare RGA to the failed RGA zenith of you.
Okay, cover that.
And Nick, once you do that, you can then disconnect the other ret that's on handrail 3519, holding the failed RGA, and then stow the failed RGA in the ORU bag.
You found me.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, you got the moon behind you too. I'm gonna keep moving.
Got it.
This is Mission Control Houston. As you've heard, the first task of today's spacewalk is now complete. The replacement of a failing rate gyro assembly RGA number 2 has now been replaced with a new healthy unit.
Just for some big
That
picture
task completed at the 56-minute mark into today's spacewalk. And the Attitude Determination and Control Officer here in Mission Control has been given the go to power up that new unit. Nick Hague and Sonny Williams, almost an hour into today's spacewalk, will now stow the old rate gyro assembly back into the airlock before they press ahead to the next pair of tasks, in which they'll split up, with Nick Hague conducting the installation of patches in the nicer telescope payload on the outside of the International Space Station. Sonny Williams will be working on the zenith side of the station to replace a planar reflector, one of the navigation tools on the zenith side of the International Docking Adapter, to which the Crew 9 SpaceX Dragon transport vehicle is currently docked.
Copy, Sonny. Can you check that your safer handles are down? I don't think we heard it.
Yeah, sorry about that. Okay. Safer handles down.
Copy, Sonny. And before you get moving as well, we'd take a glove and hap check.
Yeah. Left safer handles down. Ups are nominal. Hap is dry.
Just to reset where we're at the 1 hour mark into today's spacewalk, the 273rd in support of space station assembly, maintenance, and upgrades. You're hearing the voices of the two crew members outside the station, Nick Hague and Sonny Williams, and our spacecraft communicator here in Mission Control, that is astronaut Jessica Whitner.
Under the empty on the port gift card.
And hey, Nick, for you, we saw you just put the failed RGA in the bag. Did you see any flakes from the failed RGA come out of the bag or anything when you did that?
No, I haven't noticed anything coming off the failed. The only thing I've noticed is the stuff coming off what we put in. And since I pulled it out, I haven't seen anything hanging around in the bag.
Okay, Nick, copy. And if we could just have you hold there for a second. We're talking about the RET configuration in the bag and potentially making a change to reduce the amount of flakes that may come off of the failed now.
Okay. Hold here.
And Sonny, for you, I do have APFR settings when you're ready.
Hey, stand by. Okay, the bag is connected to the APFR. Put the RT on. RT ret is on the APFR as well. What are my settings?
Copy, Sunny. The settings for the APFR are going to be November, Kilo 1.
November, Kilo 1. I think I'm going to I'm going to move it off of this engine first. Very set settings. That's okay with you? It's down here in the heads in the bunch of stuff.
Copy, Sunny, if that works for you.
Just over an hour and 4 minutes into today's EVA, and there you see a great view of NASA astronaut and commander of Expedition 72, Sunny Williams, making her way away from the S0 truss, which the rate gyro assembly number 2 had just been completed with the remove and replace of the old unit to a new one that has just been approved to be powered on. And then also in that field of view, you see the SpaceX Dragon for Crew 9 off into the distance, as both Sunny Williams and Nick Hague will stow the old rate gyro assembly unit here shortly before continuing on with today's planned tasks. And those tasks will include the removal and replacement of a Harmony Zenith planar reflector, which is actually close to that Dragon spacecraft, as well as the installation of a neutron star interior composition explorer patch, or the NICER X-ray telescope experiment, and prepare the alpha magnetic spectrometer patch panel for future upgrades.
All right, remind me just this pitch setting here. November, push in, unlock, unlock.
And Ephraim saying November is correct.
November is locked. What's the other one?
Kilo 1.
So what? Good.
Yeah, how large are you on my BRT?
Copy, Nick. Large ORU on your BRT, and can you confirm the thermal shroud is closed?
I'm working on it.
Copy.
I'm going to get the BRT on ORU before that's it. And my safety set are getting around the way.
Copy, no problem.
Are you seeing Hecka? Out of curiosity?
Yeah, Ephraim, I see your hecka now.
I've got the Velcro down on 3520, working my way up the I saw Chief.
All right, that looks good, Nick. When you can, perform a glove and hap check, and then we'll get you translating back to the airlock.
Got it.
It's Sunny for you. Once you get the APFR set, just verify the pitch knob's locked and can be depressed.
The pitch knob is locked and can be depressed. Yes. In its correct setting, I'm going to put it on my BRT.
Copy.
paddles are locked on the BRT.
You should be able to see down. All eyes in a good config.
Hey, firm, Nick, we're looking at your HECA, and it looks like a good config.
Great communication there between NASA astronaut Nick Hague as well as the teams on the ground. The confirmation of a good power-up of the rate gyro assembly at number 2, the replacement unit that was just recently completed by NASA astronaut Nick Hague and Sonny Williams together, as they are starting to receive data and shortly receive data of the angular motion that it will measure of the International Space Station about its 3 different axes.
Eyes on the GPS antenna. After it leads off, continue down phase 2.
Okay, Nick, where are you right now?
Phase 2 coming down on phase 1. I've got the ORU bag.
Okay. I'm just getting my BRT and my Philip bag and the APFR behind me.
Okay.
And I'll start moving.
I see your safety tether.
Okay.
And Sonny, it looks like we lost your HECA again. If you could see if that powered off.
There we go.
And for both of you, good news. RGA2 is up and running. We had a successful power-up. Nice work.
Excellent. Great.
Under the MT?
I'm just on the starboard side of the lab.
And Sonny, I think I hear you're translating now. We just want to make sure we're pressing the seat of cart brakes.
Right. With something else. That's call, Jeff. Sorry about being moving around too fast.
Yeah, I'm on the seat of spur.
Wonderful views from the helmet cam of NASA astronaut Nick Hague as they are translating from the S0 truss on the International Space Station about the midway point, the backbone of the International Space Station, and you can see the curvature of the Earth below him. And there is the Quest airlock right in front of him as he moves to go and stow the replaced rate gyro assembly at number 2. As for NASA astronaut Sonny Williams, she is making her way to the space-facing side of the Harmony module in preparations for the next task for today's EVA, the replacement of a planar reflector that is used for visiting vehicles in their approach to the International Space Station.
Deport 1. Sorry, starboard 1.
Copy, Sonny. I think I copied. That was the starboard seat of cart brakes.
Deport 1 at first. The starboard 1.
I'm at the airlock. My cover's open.
Copy, will be.
I'm on the strip. Down to the left.
All right, Sonny, I have a couple words for you while you're translating. A few cautions. As you head outboard, you want to avoid contact with the deployed CBM pedals, grapple pin, target, and shaft. And then you also do not want to translate on the WETA stanchion.
Okay.
And then lastly, as you...
Remind me the handrail, I'm putting my green hood on.
Yeah, I'm about to give that to you. The lab handrail 0272. It's going to be the forward in cone of the lab just above the cable tray.
communication to NASA astronaut Sonny Williams as he continues to move along the International Space Station en route to the zenith or space-facing side of the Harmony module, in which he will begin the second task of today's EVA after completion of the Rate Gyro Assembly number 2, and that is to remove and replace a planar reflector. And that planar reflector is used among a variety of communications devices for visiting vehicles to measure distance and rate of closure.
And Sonny, I know you're still translating, I think, but maybe when you get to that Green Hook location, if you could check your HECA. We're still not seeing anything down here.
0272 is locked. Press the button again. Hook is down. Black on black locked. 0272.
Copy your Green Hook, Sonny.
I'm on node 2.
Affirm. See you moving on node 2 now, or hear you moving on node 2. We're still working to get your camera view up.
Large ORU bag is on the airlock, large small. That we move by BRT red. Starting the airlock bag bundle.
Copy.
Have the crew lock bag on BRT red. Good hook. One out of the airlock.
Copy, Nick.
Do you have my HECA yet?
Unfortunately not, Sonny. We're still working it down here. If you are making your way over there on the zenith side of PMA, I have some handrail numbers for you if you need them. Otherwise, we're looking for PMA 3 with 5 for the APFR install. And Sonny, we just have one more request for you to just check that camera one more time for us. Sorry about that.
The camera again. I have a green light.
All right, we copy, Sonny. You're seeing a green light.
I'm at the vertical handrail right now. I'm PMA 3. Not on it quite yet. I'm still on the front of node 2.
Copy, Sonny. Thanks for the updates. Nick, once you are ready to start translation, we're looking for glove, HAP, and safer handle checks.
Got it. Lock bag is on my BRT, closing the thermal cover. Thermal cover's closed.
Copy, thermal cover closed. And Nick, can you just confirm that you did leave your PGT in the airlock? I don't think we heard that clear.
Oh, I did not. Let me do that.
Copy, good checks.
Just remind me of the clocking.
Sonny, we're looking for clocking of 10.
And that is on the single line.
Affirm, that'll be single line clocking of 10.
Still checking. Okay. 10, November, on. Let's get the other side. Cool.
Now, 1 hour and 19 minutes into today's EVA activities and the completion of the first task of 4 assigned to NASA astronauts Nick Hague and Sonny Williams, and that was the removal and replacement of the RGA-2, the Rate Gyro Assembly number 2 unit. And you saw the helmet cam of astronaut Nick Hague placing that worn-out unit back inside the Quest airlock and the crew lock, as NASA astronaut Sonny Williams continues to prepare for what would be the second task for her today, which would be the removal and replacement of the planar reflector, and that'll be just outside the zenith or space-facing port of the Harmony module that's currently occupied by the SpaceX Dragon spacecraft that brought Crew 9 to the International Space Station. And that planar reflector, one of many communications tools used for visiting vehicles on approach to the orbiting laboratory to help measure the distance and rate of closure.
And Sonny, we do have a big picture view of you from the lab starboard camera, but we're still working on your HECA.
Okay, I am here. I have the lock bag is still on the APFR. APFR is installed. I'm on the front of PMA-3 and below Dragon and everything. My head is way below it, so I am ready for the next words.
Copy, Sonny. We're just looking for good words, black on black, pull twist test, and the pitch knob can be depressed for the APFR.
Okay, black on black, good pull wiggle test on the APFR. Pitch knob can be depressed, yes.
Okay, thanks for that. You can unbundle your crew lock bag now from the APFR, and you're going to want to stow that on your BRT. And we just want to make sure your BRT is nice and snug and will be away from Dragon when you ingress with the crew lock bag on it. And Sonny, we also have a request for you to power cycle your HECA when able.
Again, I have a green light.
Copy, power cycle complete. And Nick, for you, it looks like we lost your HECA as well, so we'll take the same thing if you can power cycle your HECA when able.
Got it. Heck is off right now.
Great communication between NASA astronaut Sonny Williams and astronaut Nick Hague with the ground team here inside the International Space Station Flight Control Room as they continue to prepare themselves for the second task of today's EVA. The view you see here is of Sonny Williams as she prepares herself for the planar reflector remove and replace. And you heard that communication, making sure that she is properly tethered and safely attached to the International Space Station.
With that, when you're ready, you can begin your translation out to S3, the Bay 1517 interface. We're going to head up to NICER.
Got it. I'm leaving the airlock.
Copy, Nick.
Sonny, I just left my fair lead in. I think that'll help you when you come back to the airlock.
Okay,
I don't know if you put a fair lead in, but it's at the base of the Cedar Spur.
Yeah, I did.
Yep.
Real quick one.
And Sunny, while you're working your crew lock bag there, I have a couple more cautions to read to you. You want to minimize contact with the contamination at the planar reflector work site, and then you want to avoid contact with the glass on the planar and hemi reflectors themselves.
Okay.
One.
Hey, Jack, I have the crew lock bag on me. I actually have both of the adjustables on my mini workstation to sort of keep it away from everything floating around as well. So, should stay away next to my left side. Are we ready for some pictures?
Okay, Sunny, that's a good config with your bag, and we are go for photos.
Okay. Remind me exactly what you want.
Yeah, we want, jokingly, everything there. We're going to look for the visible dragon surfaces, the planar and hemi reflectors, best effort on those because they're kind of under the nose cone, the IDA and PMA hardware, and then anywhere else you see any of that contamination. And Nick, we're still not seeing your HECA as well for your assay. We don't have a great camera view. I do have a green hook location. We saw the power cycle. We're troubleshooting on deck, but I do have a green hook location at mile marker 5460.
5460.
Good readback.
This is Mission Control Houston as we continue to bring you live coverage and updates from today's U.S. EVA number 91, currently being operated by NASA astronaut and commander of Expedition 72, Sunny Williams, who you see in your field of view here. Sunny is now preparing for the removal and replacement of a planar reflector used in communications for visiting vehicles to help them measure the rate of closure and distance as they approach the International Space Station. You also just heard communication between the ground teams here in the International Space Station Flight Control Room and Nick Hague, who you now see here translating or moving across the truss system of the International Space Station in preparation for his next task, as he and Sunny Williams will be working simultaneously on different tasks. For Nick Hague, he will be working to patch the nicer payload and install patches of that nicer payload. And that is an X-ray telescope experiment that studies neutron stars, black holes, and other phenomena. Unfortunately, due to just time and degradation, that has allowed sunlight to interfere with the X-ray measurements during the daylight time as the International Space Station orbits around the Earth. So these patches that Nick Hague will be providing will help reduce that light pollution coming from the sun, and that it can return back to near full strength during daylight hours.
On PMA, you can move around and take photos.
Yes, I've got a green hook down at 5460.
Copy, Nick. Okay. Green hook down on 5460. You're going to stow that crew lock bag number 2 now on S3 handrail 3021. It's going to be the short handrail on the zenith edge of face 1 just above you.
Copy.
All right, Jess, should I try to get in the APFR? You ready for this?
And Sonny, we actually have a couple steps for you ahead of time, but we're also on that lab starboard view, seeing your feet get pretty close to the CBM pedals. So if you can watch that a little bit.
Sorry.
And so we want you to actually configure the PGT rad and just have it on your swing arm so we don't have to get you back out of the APFR to do that. And then we have you remove the 6-inch wobble socket from your PGT as well and put it on the socket caddy prior to getting into the APFR.
Okay. I have that way at the bottom of my tag because I wasn't anticipating we were going to do that. All of that's at the bottom. I'm going to have to yard sale it all out. Just do you want to do this? Really? Questioning.
Yeah, Sonny, we're talking it down here. Just stand by 1 second.
If I need to translate over so that I can get in there, hand it to you, I can. I'm trying to minimize in and out of APFR.
Okay, Sonny, we were talking it over down here, and we think we don't actually need to configure the rad for this. If we end up needing it as a contingency, we'll just configure it later. That said, we're still going to have you remove the 6-inch wobble socket from your PGT and stow it on the socket caddy.
And a great view from the helmet camera of NASA astronaut Nick Hague as he continues to prepare for his second task of today's EVA. And you can see floating off just past that left hand of his, those are the wedge-shaped NICER patches that he'll be inserting into the NICER experiment, the X-ray telescope that helps study neutron stars, black holes, and other phenomena. And he will take those wedges and place them strategically in certain spots on the NICER to help reduce unwanted sunlight from penetrating the X-ray telescope.
No, totally understand. No big deal. And once you get that socket off and in your trash bag, we have a request to have you just turn off your HECA, and we're just going to leave it off for a little bit and then try again later. We still don't have good view.
I just turned off the HECA. Let's see. No light. My light.
All right, Nick, we have your HECA back, and I see you unbundling the NICER caddy. When you're ready, that's going to go square scoop to the inner bayonet fitting on your swing arm.
Copy. I'm about halfway through. Not. She did that intentionally.
main swavel socket is off of the PGC. PGC is swung back in. Socket is going into my trash bag.
Okay, copy, Sunny. Socket in the trash bag. I have a warning I'm going to have to read you, so avoid contact with exposed IDA and Dragon hardware. And then just one last check to make sure mini workstation, tools, tethers, BRT will all maintain clearance prior to getting in the APFR. And then while you check that, Sunny, we're just going to hold here for a second while we talk it over prior to giving you the go. And Sunny, you have a go to repower your HECA now.
Okay, mark. See green light.
Copy, green light.
An hour and 35 minutes into today's EVA as we continue to follow along with the progress of NASA astronaut Nick Hague as he prepares for the NICER experiment and the patches of the X-ray telescope that studies neutron stars, black holes, and other phenomena. And these patches will help shield and prevent unwanted sunlight from interfering with the X-ray measurements. This telescope has 56 X-ray concentrators, and each one of those concentrators has a set of nested mirrors. Well, over time and wear and tear of this experiment has allowed for unwanted sunlight to enter the telescope, thus not providing accurate data during the daylight passes for the International Space Station. So what Hague will be doing is taking the caddy that you heard mentioned just a moment ago that has those patches. He will insert them in select spots around the NICER experiment to allow for its maximum capability both during the night and daytime passes to continue to measure those phenomena.
Hey, NICER caddies on my swing arm. Flat hook.
All right, copy, Nick. You can continue translation to NICER on ELC2. And have a warning, avoid contact with the sharp edges on NICER star tracker hood and Fram clevises.
Yeah.
And Nick, while you're translating, I have a couple other cautions to read too, since we have a moment. Once you get up to NICER, remember you want to avoid any contact with the reflective film, so either hand or tools. Avoid loads into NICER in station forward direction just to prevent it from becoming unhooked. And then allow any motion to dampen out prior to each interaction with NICER. And you can also use that closed fist once you get up there, or a flat palm if you do need to react against the face of NICER while you're setting up your work site.
Copy all. Yeah.
And Sunny, we're troubleshooting HECA still down here. It looks like we were getting some good data, but give us a couple more minutes while we troubleshoot and take some photos.
No problem.
And 1 minute to hand over.
Copy.
And Sunny, good news, we got your Hecka camera back on the big screen. So after this LOS, we'll be back with you to give you the go.
Okay, sounds good.
Hey, Sunny, I'm on LC.
I see you.
And we talked about putting in that fair lead. I don't think it's going to be necessary.
Okay.
You're going to have plenty of translation room. You needed it.
An hour and 40 minutes into today's EVA with NASA astronauts Nick Hague and Sunny Williams as they continue to move along with their scheduled tasks for this extravehicular activity, number 91 and the 273rd for International Space Station assembly, maintenance, and upgrades. They have completed their first task, the priority task for today, and that was the removal and replacement, the R&R, if you will, of the rate gyro assembly number 2. And now the two astronauts are preparing for the second task of the day, in which Sunny Williams, she will make her way over to the zenith port of the Harmony module, and near that she'll be removing and replacing a planar reflector. And those planar reflectors, as you can see here and illustrated by NASA Flight Director Nicole McElroy during the briefing last week, and who is on console today leading the EVA, she'll be replacing that black portion along with the 3 bolts to loosen and replace it as it has become contaminated due to visiting vehicle traffic. So they will remove those 3 bolts around that black portion that has a reflective material in the middle there, that silvery middle portion. So she'll reflect that as it is a part of one of many communications tools used by visiting vehicles to remove or to measure their rate of closure and distance as they are on approach to the International Space Station. And for Nick Hague, he is translating his way over to the NICER patch experiment, or the NICER X-ray telescope experiment, that has 56 aluminum X-ray concentrators that capture X-ray light that help measure neutron stars, black holes, and other phenomena that has been since worn and contaminated by sunlight and allowing unwanted light to enter the experiment. And he will translate over and install patches for that NICER experiment.
And Sunny, for you, just to repeat, you have a go to ingress the APFR, and you just want to use ingress aid only and just maintain that body clearance to Dragon at all times.
And there you see a great view of the NICER X-ray telescope in front of NASA astronaut Nick Hague, who will install patches and those circles that have each compartment with wedges on the inside for those patches. There's 56 of those, select ones identified by the NICER experiment, and the team on the ground here, both in Houston and across the country, have identified areas where unwanted light is entering, and that is what Hague will be identifying and patching up so it can return to its full capacity.
Sunny, it looks like your safety tether pack might be kind of trapped underneath the grapple fixture underneath you there. It's just prevent you from going up anymore.
Thank you. recommended I go this way, right? Oh, boy.
Well, we see you well clear, Dragon, so you're good to do what you need to.
A great view of astronaut Sunny Williams as she continues to prepare for the removal and replacement of the planar reflector just outside of the zenith port of the Harmony module. That is the space-facing port that is currently occupied by a SpaceX Dragon spacecraft that brought Crew 9 aboard the International Space Station. That occurred back in late September, but the planar reflector is right there, just a few bits of distance away from that spacecraft, in which Sunny Williams will release 3 different bolts and actually replace the actual reflective portion of it all that both the Dragon and other visiting vehicles use on approach and docking to the International Space Station. And you can see the planar reflector jutting out from that docking port. It's just off to the left edge of that screen, that silver brace with the black component right on top of it. That'll be the component that you will be working on. And again, that is to help with a multitude of communications devices for visiting vehicles to use as a reflector to gain insight on the rate of closure and distance as they approach the International Space Station.
Give me a second. Try not to touch anything.
I hear you.
Yeah, Sunny, no rush on anything. Again, we're still looking great on time, so feel free to take a break as needed.
As astronauts Sunny Williams and Nick Hague prepare for their second task of the EVA, you can see that the International Space Station has transitioned into an orbital nighttime, currently traversing across Kazakhstan.
A little bit of a constraint problem.
All of this happening as we approach an hour and 48 minutes into today's spacewalk.
And then for the nicer team, I think I've covered the middle third. I'll get into a new position for the bottom third.
Copy, Nick. We're ready to copy that position.
Yeah. And I'm sure if they're not seeing it, I can tell you that there is as much damage in wedge 1 as there is it'd be F5 in the 3 o'clock position. Almost all of the grids are exposed.
We copy, Nick. F5, 3 o'clock.
Put that right in the middle of your HECA.
right, Nick, once you're ready to start installing patches, we're going to add an additional patch to that location you called out.
Okay. Right. My right leg in. And on my left.
I'm going to get in position for patches, Jeff.
Copy, Nick.
Yes, you have my HECA, right?
Yeah, Sonny, your HECA is good.
Great communication between NASA astronaut Nick Hague and Sunny Williams on their current tasks. For Williams, you see here, she is removing and replacing and beginning the planar reflector replacement, as she is just outside the zenith port of the Harmony module, which just off on the left-hand side of the screen, you see the Dragon spacecraft of Crew 9. And just before that, you saw NASA astronaut Nick Hague doing a visual inspection of the NICER experiment, the X-ray telescope that has received damage over wear and tear and time, and additional patches, and upon review and visual inspection of the NICER, where additional patches and adjustments and improvements overall could be made.
All right, Sonny, just to confirm for us, just wiggle around the APFR, make sure we're good and locked in place.
I'm locked in place, yep.
Yeah, nice work. That was a hard work site to ingress, so nice job. With that, we'll position your BRT now and that crew lock bag access while maintaining clearance to Dragon, and then we'll start getting the EVA wipe with the RET out of that crew lock bag. And then, Sonny, another request to rigidize your BRT a little bit once you find that good position, just to make sure we're not floating close to Dragon. And, Nick, we see your HECA view and installing patches.
Patch 1 is in. Go number 1.
Copy, 1. Good location.
And again, another great view from the camera on the helmet of NASA astronaut Nick Hague as he begins the patching of certain pie-shaped wedges on the NICER experiment, the X-ray telescope that helps measure neutron stars, black holes, and other phenomena that have been damaged over time and allowing unwanted sunlight to enter and throw off the X-ray measurements. And you see those pie-shaped wedges throughout the experiment from his view, and those are where he will insert those patches from a caddy that he has attached to his spacesuit. And a good view of the tool he is using and inserting a patch in strategic locations throughout the X-ray telescope.
I got a RET on the reflector. I've got the palm wheel and ratchet out. I've got the wipe for the failed one. You ready to try to undo the bolts?
And, Sonny, before that, we'd like you to just, we'd like to get some words for visual inspect of the planar reflector. Just any words on the contamination there. And if you can get it in your HECA, we'd like that, but we can't quite see it.
I don't want to lean over too much, but it has it looks like it has white powder all over it. Particularly on top of it, and as I'm looking at it, right-hand side, the forward side, the left-hand side, the aft side towards station, is not as dirty, but the whole reflector top has this white film on it, looks like. I don't know if it's dust or it's film. I'm not touching it.
Okay, we copy that, Sunny. Thanks for those words. We just can't quite see it as good in a heck of view. With that, you can retrieve the ratchet wrench from crew lock bag 1.
Try and take a picture.
Yeah, and some pictures would be great as well. I have a warning and a few cautions to read to you when you're ready.
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay, I have a warning that any additional torque may cause bolt failure, which could result in sharp edges, the broken shank, and or FOD liberation. So the 4 parts of the bolt that we talked about: spring, washer, retainer, and bolt. And then a few cautions. You want to maintain tool tether clearance to dragon throughout the task. Limit turn count to the specified turns. Minimize side loading on the bolt head, and then again maintain that axial force on the fastener to compress the spring during rotation. And then lastly, the release failure torque of the planar reflector bolts is 29 inch-pounds, so stop driving as soon as any rise from running torque is felt.
Are we ready to try one?
Okay, Sunny, we are go for you to start to release the planar reflector bolts. You can do that any order by hand using the palm wheel only, exactly 1 turn on each bolt.
Great communication there between NASA astronaut Sunny Williams and the team here inside the International Space Station Flight Control Room in Mission Control Center, Houston, Texas, as she gave the explanation and the reasoning for the removal and replacement of the planar reflector, as it is currently contaminated and reduced in reflectivity that allows for visiting vehicles to communicate with the International Space Station and to measure its rate of closure and distance.
A little bit of a turn on it.
You can see that planar reflector, that section in the middle there that has a whitish color. That is what is contaminated and allows for that reflectivity to happen, for the communication to be accurate and properly aligned. So those 3 bolts around the edges are what Williams will be loosening to replace that portion of the planar reflector with a new piece.
It's got a teeny bit of motion on the palm wheel.
Okay, copy, Sunny. You got 10 seconds till this handover, but you can try the 3rd bolt with the palm wheel as well and just see if any of those bolts loosen up.
By which of the palm wheel?
Doing great on time.
See, there's a space between it and the... Front one also got a space. Taking a chill pill.
Good idea.
Just over 1 minute and 58 seconds into today's U.S. spacewalk number 91, as you see a great view of the communications team on the ground in the International Space Station Flight Control Room.
Handover, and we don't have your heck of views back yet, but can you repeat your last, Sunny?
Yeah, I think I got a turn on board 1 and the aft one. I'm pretty positive. And then the one that's in the center, I got like a half a turn. I feel like it's getting looser.
Copy, Sunny.
I continue to try to undo them?
Yeah, if you're seeing that bolt come looser, then you can continue, even if it's slow, and just trying to make small rotations there until we get to one turn.
Great communication there between the teams as they continue to work. Sonny Williams, NASA astronaut, commander of Expedition 72 on the removal and replacement of the planar reflector. Nicole McElroy and her Vista flight team, the spacewalk flight director for today. And you heard Jessica Whitner, the spacewalk communicator, relaying the information up to Sonny Williams.
And Sonny, we just want to confirm, do you have one turn now on all three bolts, or is there one bolt that's still causing issues?
It's just far away, so I haven't been putting my hand on it too far, but I got it to get looser. The one that's closest to Dragon, and I'm just worried about, leaning in too far. I got it to move. To stay away, can I just use the ratchet?
And Sonny, we're checking.
I'm choked up on it. I'm not super all the way out at the end of the ratchet. I got it to move.
Copy, Sonny. We just want you to stand by 1 second. We have your heck of view back now, and just give us a second to talk over the use of the ratchet.
Just while I've got a little break in the comm, I'm flying my Heka at location 5 in the 5 o'clock position. There's about 16 grids missing. It goes out radially, starting about from a third of the way, up from the center all the way to the edge. This is something that would have been obscured by my photos from the MRM2. I don't know if you guys can see it.
Copy, Nick. Just to confirm, it's at patch location 5 at the 5 o'clock position?
It is Charlie 5 at the wedge position 5.
Copy, Charlie 5 at the 5 o'clock position. All right, Nick, you have a go to install an extra patch there. It'll be patch number 9 to that Charlie 5 position.
Okay, didn't work. Resting up those arms, Sonny?
What's that?
Said you resting up your arms?
Yeah. I mean, they all turned, so I'm not super worried about it. It would just be a little bit easier just because of the reach to use the ratchet.
Yeah.
Just slowly.
And Sonny, you have a go now to do what you were talking about earlier. So you can use the ratchet wrench. You just choke up on it like you were as much as possible and put as little force as you need to actually get that bolt to move. And we're still just looking to get to one turn on each bolt.
So I think I have one turn for sure on this forward bolt. No, I do. The aft bolt, let me just like a half a turn more. There we go. And the inner bolt, get like a 3/4 there. I just got it to get loose. Okay, I got like turn on each. You see space. The aft one, I'm not leaning in there, or the one farthest away from me, I'm not leaning in there, but it definitely turned.
Copy, Sonny. That is good words. With that, we are go to continue to release these bolts. So you can release by hand the bolts until they pop out. We expect them to pop out after 8 turns. So if you want to get all to 8 and then turn each one turn until they pop out, you can do that, or you can do each one individually.
Great communication there between the International Space Station Flight Control Room here in Houston, Texas, and NASA astronaut Sunny Williams as she continues to work on the removal of the current planar reflector that is on the port, the zenith port of the Harmony module. And you can see with that somewhat red stripe and white structure just above her helmet cam view, that is the SpaceX Dragon spacecraft. That is how close in proximity she is working to the Crew 9 Dragon spacecraft to move this planar reflector. With a new one, as you can get a great view of that contamination on the planar reflector. And with the replacement of a new one, hopefully that reflective ability to allow for communications with visiting vehicles will improve. As she works around the 3 bolts that are currently attaching that planar reflector to that outward support system.
Additional turns on the aft one. I'm not able to do this just with my fingers.
Copy, Sunny, that's okay, and we're tracking your turns down here as well.
Looking on the aft one again. Another turn, 4, coming up on 5. 5 turns on the aft. Turns on the forward. I see the springs, but they're not popping yet.
Copy, that's expected.
More turns on the inboard. More turns on the forward.
Great views of NASA astronaut and commander of Expedition 72, Sunny Williams, working on the removal and replacement of the planar reflector, issuing equal torque to those 3 bolts to have that current planar reflector be removed and replaced with a new one to allow for greater communications ability for visiting vehicles.
Yes, Sunny, it looks like we're tracking about 7 total turns now on those 2 bolts, and once you get that aft one done, 7 as well. So you got 1 more turn before the potential for it to pop out.
I see it's moving now. Obviously, there's space. They all have 7 turns on them. 1 more turn on the forward.
Copy. And then once all these bolts pop out, I know you know this, but the reflector will be free to float. There's no soft off.
It's tethered, just FYI. Forward. 1 turn more on the forward. I did 8, but it's not topped yet. One more turn on the aft. on the inboard. Still stiff. I can't turn them with my hand. For the forward one.
Yeah, it's okay if you can't do it by hand, Sonny. What you're doing is fine, and then just checking every bolt turn at this point to see if they pop up.
Yep. One more on the front. It looks like it's popped up. On the aft. On the inboard. Popping it. I think I have 9 turns on each so far. Correct?
Great communication and visuals from the ground team here in the International Space Station Flight Control Room. Farouk Sabor, the spacewalk lead officer, relaying to Flight Director Nicole McElroy that this view, Nick Hague, NASA astronaut out on EVA 91 alongside with Sonny Williams, has completed the patches requested on the NICER experiment, the X-ray telescope that allows for X-ray measuring of neutron stars, black holes, and other phenomena as he continues to evaluate other potential areas of study and reviewing the work site. And you can see those pie-shaped wedges that were installed
Those patch locations
to allow the NICER to maintain full operation, especially during daylight passes for the International Space Station, and prevent unwanted sunlight from entering the experiment.
The EVA camera grid pattern perpendicular to as many of them as possible.
Okay, will do. I did want to report that, I'll try to put it in the HECA. There is an Delta 2 3 o'clock position. There's 1, 2, 3, there's 9 grids missing. Outer third of the wedge, on only half of it, it's a cluster.
The lead in the forward one.
Okay, next team's talking. And copy, Sunny, left forward popped.
Meaning it's released.
I like that word better.
Yeah. Sorry.
It's all good.
Ashland's almost there. I can tell. It's at 11. Ashland. Oh, it's open. It's released. No, it's all released.
Awesome. I see it released.
12 all around.
Nice job.
Copy, nice work. We're going to stow that in the EVA wipe and then send that back to the crew left bag. Nick, for you, no patch on Delta 2 is the consensus by the team down here.
I'll finish up taking photos.
Copy.
communication in relation to the nicer experiment that you are seeing in Nick Hague's helmet camera, EV1, on the left-hand side of your screen, as he has completed the patching of the damaged areas of the nicer experiment, the X-ray telescope, and a part of those 56 entries for light to enter, or I should say X-rays to enter, X-ray waves to enter and measure phenomena such as black holes and neutron stars. Those patches have been complete. And for Hague, he continues to take photos to evaluate potential future opportunities as well as just the overall state of the work site. On the right-hand side of your screen, you see NASA astronaut commander of Expedition 72, Sunny Williams, working on the planar reflector. You heard communications between her and the ground team here at the International Space Station Flight Control Room in Houston, that those 3 bolts were popping and starting to come out of place, in which that would allow her to remove the current planar reflector that has been contaminated and limiting its reflectivity. You can see that the space where it was is just right above her right hand. Those 3 bolts have been removed, and now we'll be able to replace it with a new piece that will allow for greater communications between visiting vehicles as they approach and dock with the International Space Station.
What's the plan for the install? Did you...
Yeah, Sunny, you're going to retrieve the spare planar reflector, the EVA wipe that's marked with tape, and then we're going to install that. So lock out the ret, tether point facing starboard or facing you, and then we're going to drive 2 turns on each bolt.
Got the spare. The ret lock goes.
Sunny, I know you're working crew lock bag ops right now still, but when you have a natural break, we will get a glove and hap check from you.
Gloves are nominal. Hap is dry.
Copy, glove and hap.
Hap is spare. Out of the... Right.
And Sunny, for the install, you're going to use the palm wheel to start those bolts 2 turns, but don't use the actual handle of the ratchet wrench until we talk it over if you need it.
Trying to see if I can start it by hand. That's a little bit hard.
All right, we copy, Sunny. We're 3 minutes to sunrise and still looking great on time, so take as much time as needed.
Turns on the front one.
Copy, 2 turns on the front one.
This is Mission Control Houston as we continue to follow along with today's coverage of US EVA 91. And you are seeing the view from the helmet camera and now an exterior camera on the International Space Station as Commander of Expedition 72, Sonny Williams, is attaching the replacement of the planar reflector just outside of the zenith port of the Harmony module. And that helmet camera of Williams right now, she's tightening up the bolts, the 3 bolts that will secure the new planar reflector to its attachment just outside the SpaceX Dragon spacecraft, the Crew 9 spacecraft. And there you see a fantastic view of the upcoming orbital sunrise that will soon make its way over top of the International Space Station. We are just over 2 hours and 20 minutes into today's EVA as we are continuing to track the progress of both Sonny Williams and Nick Hague as the International Space Station currently making its way into a orbital sunrise as mentioned. And again, another great view of that horizon just off on the right-hand side as the International Space Station currently passing over the Pacific Ocean.
Turns on the aft. Three turns on the forward, 3.5 turns on the forward. With the one that's inboard most, can I try to use the ratchet just because it's far for me and I feel like I'm putting a side load by putting my hand over there? I have the other 2 down at least 3 turns. 3 on the front, 4 on the aft.
And copy, Sonny. We're good with your recommendation if you need to use the ratchet wrench very lightly like you did before. And if that works, you can.
Yeah, I got that one started now. 2 turns on the one that's on the port side.
Okay, copy. So we're tracking now. That is all 3 bolts started, correct?
That's firm. Because I'm on that one, I'm doing 2 more turns, so it's going to be 4 on that inboard one. Coming up.
Okay, copy, Sonny.
4 turns on the inboard one.
Copy. With that, we're expecting 9 to 15 turns until you reach hand snug.
On the forward. I'm doing some more on the forward.
Copy, Sonny.
6. 7. 8.
For those just tuning in, you're watching live coverage on NASA Plus of US EVA 91 and a view of NASA astronaut Sonny Williams as she continues to work on removing and replacing a planar reflector used in communications for visiting vehicles. with a visiting vehicle just within arm's reach, the NASA SpaceX Dragon, the Crew 9 vehicle that arrived on station a couple of months ago, back in September, actually. Approaching 2 hours and 25 minutes into today's spacewalk. Joining Sonny Williams is NASA astronaut Nick Hague. So as Williams is working on the planar reflector remove and replacement, astronaut Nick Hague is completing his patchwork of the NICER experiment. The NICER is an X-ray telescope that studies neutron stars, black holes, and other phenomena. And that had thermal shields over the detectors, preventing sunlight from interfering with X-ray measurements, but those have since been damaged and deteriorated over time. So Hague has installed patches to help reduce that unwanted sunlight on the NICER experiment, also known as the Neutron Star Interior Composition Explorer. These are tasks 2 and 3 of today's assigned EVA after they successfully completed the removal and replacement of the RGA-2, and that is the rate gyro assembly number 2 that measures the rotational rate and gives rotational rate data of the International Space Station and the rate of change to better calculate the orientation of the orbiting laboratory.
Good gloves, dry hat.
Turn on the inboard. We still have a gap. They all have 9.
Copy, 9 on all, and at this point, this is where any little turn might reach that ham snug position, so just be careful as soon as you feel that stop.
10 on the forward. Little increase in running torque, 10.5, just a teeny bit.
Copy, little increase in running torque at 10.5.
Great communication there with Sonny Williams, NASA astronaut, as she continues to put the replacement planar reflector in place, talking of the turns and torque used by her tools to affix that replacement of the planar reflector.
Nick,
just off the zenith port of the Harmony module.
When you're ready.
Copy. Heading that way.
And NICER team
11 on the
is
inboard line.
happy with the work.
Standing.
And
I
Sonny,
took as many photos as my finger would allow.
nice work, Nick. Sonny, can we have you hold there for a second on the ratchet ups? We want to talk it over on the ground.
Yep.
And this view from the helmet camera of astronaut Sonny Williams.
How close do you think those bolts are to being flush and completely installed?
Yeah, I haven't done the aft one yet, but the forward one is about a millimeter. Inboard one, I can't look over there without getting too close, so I'm not looking, but it looks like the same height as the forward one. The aft one, I still have a couple more turns to do. I think I stopped at 9 there.
Okay, copy. Just stand by there for us and let us talk it over. Thanks.
Beautiful views from the helmet cam of Sonny Williams as the International Space Station traversing some 260 miles over the South Pacific, just recently entering an orbital daytime, and a great view of the Earth from just below the vantage point of Sonny Williams, just off the zenith port of the Harmony module. And you also heard communications with NASA astronaut Nick Hague as he was taking additional photos of his patchwork on the NICER experiment, the X-ray telescope that he installed with a T-handle tool. And you can see from Nick Haig's helmet camera just off on the left-hand side, just outside that NICER patchwork, as both continuing to work with teams here on the ground to complete what would be tasks 2 and 3 of today's EVA. And as these astronauts continue to monitor the progress and work with the ground teams in communication, we have now approached 2 hours and 30 minutes into U.S. EVA number 91.
ALC2, back on the truss.
Copy, Nick. Once you get to your crew lock bag, we're going to have you swap out your NICER caddy. You're going to put that next to the crew lock bag on the same handrail, and then we're going to work the C2V2 cable relocate.
Sure.
Good job, Nick. Crushing it.
On steady. On steady.
Exactly.
Okay, Sonny, I have some words.
Where are we over the Earth?
Some words for you with regards to this last turn. We have a request for you to try to use just the palm wheel on the last turn. And then if that is not possible, let us know, and we'll talk options. But we just want you to try to use, for these 3 bolts, the palm wheel only.
Okay, the aft one I have to catch up. Let me just do a couple turns on the last one. Catch up with the others. Okay?
Yeah, that's okay.
And then I will do that.
That's okay with us. Copy.
Actually, the 2 turns and there's no running torque on this one. Just doing a little bit more. There we go, right there. 2.5 turns on the aft. Pretty close, actually. The aft one looks good. Forward one. Sort of hard with the palm wheel. Forward one is a little difficult with the palm wheel. Just
Okay, copy, Sonny. Stand by.
try the inboard one. Inboard one I could turn about a half a turn. Then it gets sort of stiff. It's on here solidly. The only problem is it has the ability to move up and down a little bit because its bolts aren't flush all the way down.
Yeah, copy, Sonny. I see that it kind of moves up and down a little bit in your HECA view, so stand by. We're talking it with the MER.
Mr. Caddy's on the same handrail as the crew lock bag.
Copy, Nick. With that, we'll have you identify that C2V2 cable. It's going to be your cuff checklist page 6. Awesome. So for the order of ops here, you're going to release the truss wire tie just inboard of the C2V2 stanchion and then release the cables from that, leaving the wire tie on the truss. Then you'll release the coils from the base of the antenna stanchion, and then you'll route the cable over to handrail 3002.
Okay, and work.
And Sunny, after some discussion, we see that you're unable to really turn those bolts that last little turn with the palm wheel itself. And so it's best judgment here. We want you to be very light on the ratchet handle itself to try to get those bolts flush, but there is increased risk, obviously, to breaking the bolt. So very light, and if you think it in your judgment it's too much force building up, then just stop.
Okay.
There you heard great communication between the ground teams here in the International Space Station Flight Control Room and NASA astronaut Sunny Williams as she continues to tighten down the replacement unit of the planar reflector that allows for greater communications capabilities for visiting vehicles. Prior to that communication, you heard from NASA astronaut Nick Hague, also on EVA with Sunny Williams, and that the completion of the NICER patch is complete, and that he is now moving on to the next step of today's EVA, the next project of today's EVA.
I think that one, the front one's pretty flush. I did like 2 turns, and then I could definitely feel a increase in the running torque. It was pretty light in the beginning, so that looks pretty good.
Happy. Good work.
And good communication again from Sunny as she continues to work on the planar reflector. And then for Nick Hague is translating across the International Space Station once again to prepare for the alpha magnetic spectrometer patch panel for future upgrades. But in order to gain access to the alpha magnetic spectrometer, you saw a moment ago just the translation on the screen of needing to relocate a C2V2 cable. And that common communications for visiting vehicles, or C2V2 communications, is another communications component for visiting vehicles on approach and arriving to the International Space Station. An expected loss of signal as communications satellites have signals transferring, and there you can see a great look inside the International Space Station Flight Control Room and Mission Control Center in Houston, Texas. As we start from the bottom of the screen, Flight Director Elias Mirmo, and to support the Flight Director for today's EVA, and Nicole McElroy sitting immediately to his right. And further down the aisle is NASA astronaut Jessica Whitner, who is the spacewalk communicator and relaying information up to the International Space Station and today's spacewalkers in Sunny Williams and Nick Hague. Just behind them in the row, behind the flight director, is Farouk Sabur, who just stood up there for a brief moment. He is the spacewalk lead officer in relaying information to both the flight director and the spacewalk communicator in McElroy and Whitner of all the procedures and updates as the EVA progresses along.
Running torque at the end that was hard, and I didn't want to do it any further. And as I move the tether point, it doesn't go up and down anymore. So it's pretty much flush and tight.
Gabby, Sunny, that sounds like a good config and a good install. And we're still out your Hecka cam right now. We have a couple more seconds till KU comes back. But looks like a good install, or sounds like a good install, so we can tend the ratchet wrench and wipe back to the crew lock bag.
Okay. I'm going to move the tether point to the tape tether. Doing stuff.
And Sunny, we're actually checking with the back now to make sure they're good with the install as well. But that bag ret is going to be the ret that's on the spare planar reflector now is going to be removed from the tether point and then attached to the tape cover to remove the tape cover.
Roger.
That said, we just got your Hecka view back, and we wanted to see what that blue bag was and whether or not it's clearance to Dragon. We just kind of have a funny camera angle here.
Goodbye. What did you just say?
Yeah, Sunny. We were just noting the white bag with like the blue stripe or the blue lip on it, kind of floating. Looks like floating out of the crew lock bag.
Spare. Get this working, and then I'll be back with you. So, quick walk.
Okay, Sunny. Yeah, we're good now. We noted it. We just got your Hecka view back.
So as you can see it in my Hecka, now this doesn't move.
Yeah, that's good words, and we see it, and it is a good install. Backroom's happy as well, so we are good to clean up. So we will, when you're ready, release that ret and attach it to the tape cover, and then you can remove the tape cover from the spare reflector.
Okay, it is being removed right now. It's off.
Awesome. You can tend all that back to the crew lock bag, and then we'll get your camera out to take some photos.
For those just tuning in on NASA Plus, you're watching live coverage of US EVA 91, currently being performed by NASA astronaut and commander of Expedition 72, Sonny Williams, and NASA astronaut Nick Hague. Just moments ago, you heard great words from both the ground teams here in Mission Control Houston at the International Space Station Flight Control Room and astronaut Sonny Williams on the successful installation of the replacement of the planar reflector. The original was contaminated, and it has since been unbolted and replaced with a new unit, in which you see from the viewpoint of an external camera aboard the International Space Station of Sonny Williams now taking pictures of the work site and that completed process. Coming up on 2 hours and 43 minutes of today's US EVA. For NASA astronaut Nick Hague, he is currently working on a relocation of a C2V2 cable after completing his most recent work, which was placing patches for portions of the damaged NICER experiment, the X-ray telescope aboard the International Space Station.